Welcome back, BG Nation. 20 consecutive weeks. This is episode 20 of the Baker's Gold podcast. Many people did not think we'd make it this far, me included, but it is 20 consecutive episodes week after week. We appreciate y'all so much, and we would appreciate if y'all left a like as well. Goes a long way. Again, these take a long time to produce and record and get choreographed and ready to go. But this week we have a banger, a lot of great things happening in sports. We had Bam Adebayo's impromptu 83-point game. An insane one. So we talk about that, how ethical or unethical it may be. A lot of moves in the NFL with NFL free agency going on. Ravens, again, unethical or ethical. A lot of talk about that this week. Along with that, we also begin our journey into getting into the MLB, and we go ahead and do an impromptu picking our team that we will support for the rest of the season. So we have a great one lined up. Little bunk situation we have going on here, but we pushed through it, and it was truly a great episode. So leave a like if you like it. Share it with anyone that you might know, and let's get into it.
FTP. Welcome back, BG Nation. It is week 20, Epi 20, and we are in the garage. This is the studio right now. Joanne is in his little humble abode. What did you say? Richest to rags? Yes.
Richest to rags, yes.
Yeah, richest to rags.
But it's fine. We pushed through episode 20. Exciting stuff. Episode 20. All the way out here. Thinking back to episode 1 where we're at. Low-key, recording-wise, probably a better situation than where we're at right now, but we won't talk about that. We still pushed through 20 straight weeks of episodes, and we're looking for 200 more after this. So, episode 20,
2,200 more?
A lot of 2,200 more
movie,
straight.
Bro. That'd be a movie. That'd be a movie.
That'd be a movie. But, yeah. Are you chilling? Oh, you can hear me? Hopefully don't lag for the video. Y'all let us know. Y'all let us know, but yes, you have a shout out, Roy. No, a shout out, POS.
Yes, I do have a shout out. Let me shout out Lake Amistad, bro. Let me shout out Lake Amistad this spring break, my spring break. Honestly, you produce fish. The lake produced fish. It's been hated on. People have been saying it's dried up, whatnot. It can't produce fish. Might have been dinks half the time, but fish are fish, and honestly, I enjoyed my time. Did you enjoy your time at Lake Amistad, Joanne?
I did enjoy my time. I really did. I hadn't caught a fish. You know, a big joke was I hadn't caught a fish in like 10, 11 years. But I went back-to-back days. If you follow the Instagram, we keep plugging the Instagram. But if we follow the Instagram, we spam it. We spam every fish we catch. Not Roy when he's doing a solo thing, but when we're together, we spam those fish. So back-to-back days, I'm happy about it. Brought back my rods. You know, back here by Austin, Bass Drop, we don't got the same amount of fish. So shout out Lake Amistad. It's a good place to fish. However,
yes, sir.
It's a big surprise. POS of the week is me and Roy for low-key disrespecting Lake Amistad and the law. Low-key.
Slightly.
I don't know if you want me to lay it out.
Slightly. So you can start it off.
It was slight bit. It was slight disrespect. So, you know, we're going out to fish. Roy has the spot. The spot, supposedly, right? I think he caught 4 fish in the morning. I kind of just snitched you out there. Caught 4 fish in the morning at this spot. However, not allowed to fish there. Fun fact, we are not allowed to fish there. I think we just admitted guilt live on air. So we start fishing there. Maybe get like 2 casts in. And we look up because it's a very, very steep hill to go down. Just 2 badged men calling us to come back up. So we make the trek. We come up. We're joyful. Like, hey, oh yeah, we're tired. How are y'all? One of them is not playing games. One of them was not playing games whatsoever. You know, I don't blame him. He's like, boys, you know you can't fish there, right? And we're like, nah, what you mean? It says no fishing right there. We just both turn around comedically at the same time to a sign that just says no fishing right in front of our eyes. We're like, oh, didn't see that yet. To be fair, it did say no fishing all over the place, even down there where we're at. So that's on us. That is on us. We're grown enough to know probably shouldn't do that. But again, that boy was not playing. I was trying to crack some jokes with him. He did not like it. However, shout out to his partner. Don't have his badge number. Shout out to his partner. He was messing with the vibe. He was quite nice, and I'm not gonna lie.
FTP.
Roy said
he's actually FTP.
He is FTP. He is. He's the FTP. Second guy. One of them was running up our license. The other one was back with us. And you know, Roy said he saw a little twinkle, a little light in his eye whenever we mentioned that we had a podcast. We were going back and forth for a little bit, a little banter. He was a nice guy. Um, and just in that conversation with the park ranger, for some reason it
Yeah.
came up that we had a podcast, and he's like, "I have a long shift today. I might actually check that out." Did he? I don't think so. Maybe, you never know.
Who
But
knows? Yeah, who
FTP,
knows?
nice guy. So shout out that guy. But we are truly POS of the week for fishing where we should not be fishing.
Yeah,
That's
man,
it.
we broke some
That's it.
rules. We might
Truly.
have disrespected. Yeah, we might have disrespected the environment just a little by breaking the rules. Safety issues. We got a couple warnings. Appreciate that. We appreciate that from the park ranger. Keeping the area safe. I appreciate that. That's why I love park rangers. I like when they ask for a license. They're making the area safe and better for us. Anglers and just everyone around. But I could definitely say that me and Joanna definitely learned our lesson. Joanna and I. And yeah.
You,
Shout
you're
out
never
overall Lake
you're never
Amistad and the
going
park rangers. What's up?
you're never going back there, right? You're never fishing that spot ever again,
No,
right?
I'm not even trolling, dude. Like I've been actually very scared. Like that warning actually got me. I'm on my like third strike now, bro. My third warning. You already know third times, 3 times out, bro. You're done. Like if you get another
This
one,
with the
I
same
could possibly
guy.
get
With the
arrested if I
same
get
guy.
exactly. Exactly. I could possibly get arrested on some crazy stuff, bro. That'd be insane. Imagine, bro, I just want to go fish. But yes, I'm following
Just one
the
fish.
rules now. I'm making sure I'm not breaking any rules. We're still catching fish, following the rules. So it's all about the game. It's all about the love of the game. I respect that. But yeah, definitely
Look,
slight POS of the week from us, no doubt about that.
pretty soon, BG Nation, I do want to get a chest mount. Ro was kind of holding it, I won't lie. It's not on him, but I wanted his phone so we can record the last time we were out there on the trek.
I got
Some
precious
fun
battery.
stuff. So
I need to keep my battery on, man. I get it though. I get the excitement. I get the excitement for wanting to
I
do
was
that.
it was exciting. I mean, producer Jam was bit the dust like 2 times. He really did. He almost fell down that mountain. Did some fun stuff, but pretty soon I will be getting a GoPro. Some fishing content will be coming.
Right.
Good fun stuff when you're out there. It is some fun stuff when
Right.
you're out there traversing the terrain.
Man, yeah, truly
But
the
yeah,
worst thing is though, no, the worst thing is like seeing like the hike you gotta go on, the slight movement you gotta go on, seeing your comrades like falling in the background. Fortunately, rip producer Jay. If y'all saw that
RP.
vid, if you know, you know. And then you go all the
On
way,
Slide of
you make
Doom.
your hike, and then you don't, you just let it, and you don't catch anything. You go skunk, and it's the most painful thing
Jay.
to see your bros do. Yeah, it's the most painful thing to see your bros struggle, and then you don't catch anything that day. So honestly, producer Jay, whatever happened out there, it's unfortunate. We're gonna get some big ones though soon, no doubt. But yeah,
In San Antonio,
gonna get that
no?
out.
Hey, we have a spot out there, right? You have a spot out
I
there.
finally, yes,
I
we
got some
finally
weekends
found a
off.
spot. We were finally able to find a spot. Me and producer E, and yeah, bro, we're gonna actually start hitting that up. But that's a sleeper spot. We can't be talking about that one too much because of some other issues going on. But
Really?
yeah,
Are you gonna put me on though? Are you gonna put me on though?
I'll put you on. Yeah, I'll put you on,
Please,
no
bro.
doubt.
Bet
Yeah,
for BG.
but
There we
yeah,
go. That's pretty much
look,
all we
look.
got for the intro. I'm trying to think of anything else. I think that's it. I think that's all we got
Mm,
for the intro. We can get straight into it. A lot of these are
yeah.
yours, Roy. A lot of these are
Oh
yours.
yeah,
We can start with the NBA. I can start us off.
go for it,
Big
bro.
news. The biggest news in the NBA, I guess, in my opinion. No, it should be the biggest news. A record was
Go for it.
broken. Well, look. Would you really consider the 81 Kobe's 81 point game a record? It's second all time. How often do you really count second all time as a
Okay,
record? You
I
know what
could
I
say
mean? It's
this
not a
like,
record
yeah,
broken. The record's 100.
okay, yeah. Yeah, so basically what you're talking about is the onomatopoeia, Bam Adebayo. It broke Kobe's record of 81 points, making 83 points against the Washington Wizards. What was it, on Tuesday of this week, I believe. Did he break the record? No, he didn't break that record, but the record he did break was, I believe, most free throws attempted, which is insane. I think he attempted 43,
Good lord.
breaking Wilt's numbers. But yeah, definitely, I do agree with you on that. I definitely do agree with you on that. Kobe didn't have the record. Kobe did not have the record. We,
Yeah,
we totally forget
it's not
about
a
Wilt's
record.
100-point game, and it might not be documented, but there's I believe audio recordings of that game. A lot of people
Good
talk about
lord.
it, a lot of firsthand accounts. So,
Look,
currently does
Mr.
have 100-point record.
FTP, big FTP of the podcast. Scott Wagner, always tuning in.
Scott,
Some would say our biggest hater on our Instagram. We love it though. Said
shout
he
out
got
Scott.
to watch Wilt firsthand. Scott's an older gentleman, so he's watched a lot of ball back in his day. He said Wilt definitely did it. I don't remember if he said exactly that he witnessed the 100 point game, but he's like, Will, I have no doubt in my mind, did score 100 points because I got to watch him like in person. I got to watch Will, and he was different. Was different, he said. So, I mean,
I can't lie,
take
Scott.
that
If you
as you will.
do, yeah, yeah. If you did witness that game, that's a movie, bro. Surely that's a movie. Obviously,
That
you
is
probably
mo-
didn't because there's no video recordings of it. I feel like there would, but hearing about that is just crazy, honestly. True hoop fan, Scott.
But all right, but did you witness the 83-point game? Were you watching it when it
Yeah.
happened? Perchance,
Yeah,
you watched it.
I'm on that. I'm on that. You know that. I got a lot of free time on my hands, and so basically, I saw on Instagram something about Bam having like 50 something crazy points at halftime or something like that. I'm like, bruh, let me check it out. Shout out you. Shout out Real App. I keep updated with the Real App, with the scores and all that. Yeah. Just keep it in check. Then come fourth quarter, I'm like, all right, bro, I got to tune in. Shout out Fawa News. Hop on Fawa News.
Shout out.
Holy moly, just cooking our credibility. But no, shout out
Not for
Fawa News
real.
though. Got me right though. Got me right.
Piracy.
I was able to watch that. Yeah, it's true piracy. But Bam Adebayo, bro, was getting triple teamed out there. It was crazy to see, crazy to watch firsthand. Him break. Yeah, he broke history. He broke history that night on a random Tuesday night. But yeah,
Look,
did
I
you?
can't say the same. I did look. Yeah, I was about to say I don't have the same amount of time on my hands. This last week I did work. I was not tapped in as much as I should have been. Also, the reason we're POS this week I wanted to mention, actually going back a little bit, did not post any clips for this last week. So I did get very busy. Roy's still in the process of figuring out how to get some of those clips. So that's bad on us. Sorry if there's no clips out there. I think I'm still going to drop maybe 3 or 4 from this last podcast tomorrow, maybe Monday as well, just to make sure we get
Get
some
some
of
in the
them out
banky.
there. But
Yeah.
yeah, get some in the bank, for those that missed out the episode last week. But, bad on us. But anyways, I haven't had much time, like I said. Last week I worked 10 hours overtime. I worked a total of 50 hours, so I've been mad busy pretty much every day. But every now and then I'll run to the back office while I'm doing my thing, check my phone, see what's going on. Usually no one texts me or anything like that. But I had an ESPN noti at the top of my thing. Like I'm saying, when I check my phone, it's like a 1 second thing. I just see what's on there. See even like my mom texts me, head back. I just seen ESPN noti, something about Bam Adebayo. Just give it a quick peek and go run out. Then I really think about what I just saw. I'm like, hold up, wait a minute. Did I just say 60 points in the third? I go back. I'm like, nah, I must be like tripping. It must be like 30 or something. Nah, I saw 60 points in the third. I'm like, what the hell? Literally, what the hell? Obviously, it's not on any national television. No, that game was not going to be nationally televised anywhere, so I
Exactly.
couldn't get it. And then, but by the time I finish my shift, I go and I just see the news on the top of my phone that he broke the record. Again, I didn't watch the game, didn't really have the time to, but I saw the highlights. That fourth
Yeah.
quarter looked devious. That fourth quarter looked absolutely
Yeah.
rambunctious. Like you said, just triple teaming him, getting fouls, 40 free throws is insane. I think he chucked up 22 3-pointers, which obviously in this game, what I
Yeah.
really, I don't know what happened this game. I don't know. I really don't know how to describe it. It's such a weird one. Do you think? I don't know. I mean, it wasn't really a competitive game either,
Yeah.
was it? It was like a
It-
20-point game. It was over for a little minute.
yeah.
What are your thoughts on
Honestly,
it?
yeah. So the actual game, he was on a heater. He started off. Obviously, you have to start off on a heater whenever you want that, 80 plus point game. Obviously, when you want any high scoring game, you got to start off strong. I don't remember the exact scoring time, like scoring points he had each quarter, but I think they started triple teaming him maybe end of second, maybe start of third, very late. Or not triple teaming, double teaming. Starting to send actually more people to defend him. It started becoming a blowout in the third quarter, I believe. And that's whenever, shout out Eric Spoelstra, I believe. I'm butchering it, but shout out Eric Spoelstra, really out here, keeping his players in the game when they have a chance to break some records. You don't see that nowadays. You truly don't. So yeah, truly an insane spectacle to watch. Masterclass.
Look, well, so masterclass, yes. Some might call it
Yes.
unethical. They really might, but I saw the argument somewhere. Look, to be at
Yep.
the point that you're already at 60, 70 points in the game, you're probably already breaking some unethical boundaries. You know what I mean? Like if you're already up, if you already have 70 points and you're up 20,
Yeah.
at that point, something unethical is already going on. You think back to like the Miami Dolphins scoring 70 and then backing off to not break the record. So again, if you're at that point, you might as well just go for the record. It's not very often you get the chance to break that record, so I don't mind it. However,
Right.
However, one of the people I talked to the most, again, shout out Javier, the biggest Kobe fan I know, obviously was not all too happy with his record being broken. Not at all. He called it the most unethical thing. He said it is not earned. No one will respect this game at all. He said that the refs were calling bogus foul calls in the fourth quarter. And to that, I just say, why would the refs be calling bogus foul calls? Did they want to see the record get broken as well? Like, I don't understand that argument. Did you think that you watched the game? Did you think the foul calls were, egregious, or were they actually legitimate foul calls?
They were not egregious. They were legitimate foul calls. And honestly, Javier, bro, you're tweaking with that. You're tweaking with that because if we
My
compare
boss, by the way,
Kobe's
careful what you
81,
say.
if we compare Kobe's 81-point game with Bam Adebayo's 83-point game, we can clearly see night and day difference that Bam Adebayo had the better game. We can put aside the bias. We can put aside everything else with that. Every fan can agree that Bam Adebayo had a better overall game. His historic 83-point game was better than Kobe Bryant's 81-point game. And so, Javier, I think it's truly a bias thing. Shout out Kobe, shout out what he's done. He has the rings to speak for his name, his legacy, but his record is now officially broken, and it's unfortunate to see, but you got to put it to the side. You got to put it. Records are meant to be broken, and yeah, that's that. That's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, like someone said, there's no asterisks in the record book. Like when you look forward in history, it's not gonna be like 83 points. Oh, but it wasn't too ethical. It's just gonna be 83 points. You know what I mean? Like there's no asterisks.
Yeah.
No matter how you go about it. It kind of brings a question to me though, because he obviously it got to a point where he was specifically going for the record. Like his teammates were giving the ball every single time. They wanted him to get the record. If different teams played the same way, could you see someone else doing something similar? Like we've seen point inflation go up quite a bit in the NBA, where we see players get 60-point games, almost 70-point games. I believe Donovan Mitchell had a 70-point game. Do you see a way, or this might spark something for future teams whenever their player has 60 points in the third quarter to keep them in and go for that record? You know what I mean? Because if Bam was able to do it, like no shade to Bam, obviously he's not the most, offensively dominant player in the league.
For being a scorer.
Exactly. But say you had Luka in the third with 60 points in a blowout. Could you see the Lakers maybe doing a similar thing instead of resting him, just being like, hey, you know what, Luka, go for it. We're already up. You might as well just go for the record. He does have an offensive bag. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and honestly, that's a good point to bring up because honestly, I think this situation with Bam dropping 83 points, being in damn near the whole game, taking up, like you said, 20 plus three-pointers. That's not his game. He was obviously trying to break the record, and honestly, the Miami Heat, what are they in playing contention right now? This is a relevancy thing, The only thing good out of the Miami Heat season right now that was gonna come out of it was this 83-point game. For the Luka and the Lakers, no, they're in the 3 seed right now. They don't want Luka to get injured. Why have him in whenever it's a blowout game when he has that 60+ point game? I definitely don't think in different situations. That definitely matters which situation, but in the Miami Heat situation, definitely keeping Bam in was definitely a good way to, I guess, seal that off and bring some light on the Miami Heat's lackluster season.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. Because the other one I'm thinking about is Wemby. I'm feeling like Wemby can maybe eventually break that record with the type of bag he has.
Yeah,
but
or even
as
a
you mentioned,
double,
exactly. But I mean, again, if Wemby has 60 points in the third quarter and it's a big win, like they're already up big against a lesser opponent, I guess the Spurs probably would not keep Wemby in just injury reasons. There's no reason to keep him in. So I guess
right.
You could say maybe it was just the Miami Heat trying to keep relevancy and put a little bit of light on a season that's not going too great.
And a quick little nod to kind of what we're talking about is SGA I think he just broke Wilt's record of 20 plus point consecutive games. I believe it was like, I don't know the exact number. I'm going to guess around, I believe I heard 128 or 120, something like that, between that range of consecutive 20 plus point games. And he broke it on a night where it was a competitive game. I believe it was a Nuggets game. Kept him in the whole game. He was able to break the record while also getting the W. He said it perfectly himself, I would rather have the dub than the record if I had to, take it, either which one. That's perfect. That's a perfect example of ethical hoops. And honestly, this debate of ethical hoops versus unethical hoops, I appreciate the ethical hoops more. Sacrificing the record for the dub. What we seen earlier in the season when Wemby had to break his record. Unfortunately, he lost. Or wait, he got the dub, but his record was broken. What was it? The block every game or something like that. Um, yeah, we see a lot of examples of this. But shout out ethical hoopers for sure.
Wow, SGA and ethical hoops in the same sentence in the Big 2026. Did not think I was, we're
Yeah,
going to the podcast. I did not think I was going to hear that. I'm not going to lie.
yeah, man.
But yeah,
But
you
I
want to?
mean, yeah, it's true. Yeah.
I saw here that you want to shout out Khalil Ware as well before we move on from the
Yeah,
onomatopoeia
no,
dropping 83
yeah. So the
points.
onomatopoeia. Yeah. So Khalil Ware basically predicted. I don't remember if it was his top four or the Mount Rushmore, but I don't remember the other
I
ones.
think it was
But
Mount
basically, some
Rushmore.
all-time greats. Yeah, all-time greats. Couple all-time greats, and then you got Bam Adebayo as his last all-time great or Mount Rushmore. Insane prediction by Khalil Ware. He might be spinning though, because I have heard a lot of takes recently of people saying, "All right, is Bam now officially better than Kobe?" And it's not a crazy thing to think about. It's not a crazy thing to say
Look,
because, like you said with Javier, it's a question. It's a question to be sparked. It's a debate to be sparked up now. But yeah,
well, I mean, Javier did ask me that night. I saw him later on. I'm like, so what do you think about the game? I hadn't spoken to him. He's like, well, what do you think about Bam Adebayo now? I said, well, I mean, obviously you got to put him top 15 at this point. I mean, come
he
on,
said that.
second most
He
points
said
all
that,
time
or
in the
you
game.
said that?
I said that you gotta have him in your top 15 at this point. Bam Adebayo for what he's done. Not even an offensive player. I didn't even his game. It's not even bump fade, shoulder fade. It's not even a shot. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like
right.
like
Okay, I
doing
can
that
see
while
this
being
now.
more of a
The
defensive player.
right, right. I
Go
just thought
ahead.
of this one actually on the dot. So this one actually could. I could see this happening in the future. But let's say Bam Adebayo in the future, well, maybe even next year, gets traded to an actual big name team like the Lakers. Let's say he wins a championship or two with Luca or a superstar, puts a name for himself, gets a couple rings to himself. He's already been to the finals, um, twice, I believe, right? I'm thinking twice.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Twice.
so let's say he gets a ring or two. Does he actually get put in those top 20, top 15 conversations? Having that 83 plus point game and maybe a ring or two. What do you think about that?
Low, look, low key,
A ring
wholly
or two could
hypothetical,
change
as
a
we
lot.
say, wholly hypothetical, as we always say. But Bam Adebayo is definitely one of the better big men in this generation. You know,
Yep.
2020s for sure. Like you mentioned, been to the finals twice. Obviously didn't win. It went
Yep.
against the Lakers and the Nuggets on the Heat. But if you were to get a ring or two, I think mainly two rings with an 83 point per game, you can start thinking about top 20 all time with Bam. But again,
No, no,
look,
no, no, no. Okay,
easier
no, no. Two
easier said
rings?
than done. Yes, right. Easier
No,
said than
no.
done.
No, I'm
Luka
gonna
doesn't
give it
even
a
have a
buck.
ring
I'm gonna give it
yet.
a buck. I'm gonna say this. I know, but I'm gonna say this. If he gets two rings, I think I'll take him top 10. No, I'm not even joking about
Come on,
that.
man.
Because if you
Come on,
no, think
man.
about it. If he has two rings, multiple finals appearances, and an 83 point game, I mean, come on, bro. That's top 10 worthy. Obviously, crazy hypothetical, but Lakers do need a big man. Bam Adebayo,
They do.
he's been at the Heat a while. I wouldn't. I mean, I've seen the trade rumors. Obviously, who knows?
Look, when you said Bam Adebayo to the Lakers, immediately my mind lit up because that would be crazy. Like you said, that fills the biggest need the Lakers have had for the past maybe it's probably 8 years at this point. I can't even remember the last time the Lakers had a great big. I mean, always talk about AD, but AD likes to play that power forward position. But again, a dominant. Okay, I'm not. I don't want to call it. He just
Yeah,
scored 83
it's
points.
hard.
But I'm not going to
It's
call him a
hard. Yeah, yeah.
dominant center. But look,
Yeah,
but
I just
having
heard you
a
call him a
comp,
great big, and it's like, damn, I don't even. It's
he's
hard.
not. He's
I
not a
understand though.
great big, but look, he's a multiple time All Star. He was a number two player on two finals appearances teams on the Heat.
Yep.
So him being paired up with Luca would be amazing. And then again, Team USA. I mean, he's a staple for Team USA at this point as well.
It's
So
true.
overall, if you can get a ring, if you can snag a ring, Bam Adebayo, one ring I think would put him in the top 20, 25 conversation. Again, being a staple of Team USA, being a staple of this generation when it comes to big man, having that 83 point game to his name, just it'd be a very underrated legacy. Let's just say it that way.
Right.
Let's just say he'd be very
Okay.
underrated.
Okay. And kind of. All right. Like we're gonna talk about this next topic real quick. But speaking of ethical hoops, we could talk about Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard is known as an ethical
Okay.
hooper. Scores in the midi. able to hit efficient shooting percentages each night in and out. We got the Clippers coming back above 500 after I believe going 6-21 at the beginning of the season. Insane comeback from the Clippers with Kawhi leading the helm. Um, quick little thinking on that. What are your thoughts on that?
Look, my thinking on this is just going past ball, just because I recently remembered. Because look, I'm gonna put my bias for Kawhi aside because I don't like Kawhi, not really, as a person. But I can't deny what he's doing out there on the night to night basis. He's doing an amazing job out there. I think he's just shy of averaging 30 points per game. Some could say his best season of his career at age, I don't even know how old he is, 34, 33, 34. He's having one of the best
Yeah.
career. Yeah, he's having an amazing season. Again, clawing the Clippers out. Without Kawhi on the team, the Clippers would probably be the worst team in the NBA, if not bottom three in the NBA, without Kawhi easily.
Yeah.
Currently, also without James Harden. So, arguably, if you're looking at MVP from that lens, like who is the most valuable for the team, who adds the most value, Kawhi should probably be a top 5 to top 3 in contention for most value on his team. Just again, like you said, clawing the Clippers from 6-21, bringing them above 500, making them relevant, scoring 30 points per game, doing it ethically. But I just can't get around it. I can't get around it. Pure ball wise, I respect it. I like what Kawhi's doing, and I think he should be in top 3 to 5 conversation for MVP right now. However, I just think it's putting aside the fact from the start of the season where the Clippers and Kawhi were in terms of the scandal they had with him receiving, I believe, 40 mil on the side to sign with the Clippers. I can't respect it. So Kawhi and ethics in the same sentence, again, I'm not buying it. I don't like it.
Oh, I mean, all right. You definitely don't have to like it, but he's bringing his team back above 500, and honestly, they're kind of scary in the playoffs. I would be a little nervous. They could bring you to, I'd say, a game 6, possibly even a game 7, depending on certain things. But Kawhi is definitely hooping like an MVP right now. A top tier two-way player, one of the best in the league right now currently. This brings into question: is Kawhi, a healthy Kawhi, better than a KD all time, Kevin Durant? Thoughts on that?
All time.
All
All
time. A healthy
time.
Kawhi. Yeah.
It's very interesting. It is
Same
very interesting.
rings, same rings,
Yes.
same amount of
I,
finals
I
MVPs.
I've had this thought for a little minute now, going back to when I discussed that the top 3 of this generation are LeBron, Curry, and Kevin Durant in that order, In the
Right.
order, that's what I think the generation is. But I mentioned earlier in this series of podcasts that if KD never went to the Warriors, one of those 2 chips, I think Kawhi would have been third all time this generation behind LeBron and Steph Curry. But, I mean, I just can't put him above Kevin Durant. I mean, you can have those asterisks next to his 2 championships just because he joined the Warriors. But again, at the end of the day, there's no asterisks in the record book. He's a 2-time champion. I believe he's done it very consistently over a long time. Kawhi has been known to just not play seasons. Not play seasons. I don't think he has a better track record in terms of being a positive face in the NBA. Kevin Durant, obviously one of the bigger supervillains in NBA history for what he did. But Kawhi, again, he left the Spurs on a very bad note, a horrible note. He left the
Yeah.
Raptors with the championship, but one and done, didn't want to stay there. So I wouldn't say that was a great note either, but he brought them their only championship. And then here on the Clippers, again, people are pushing it to the side, but what he's doing ethically on the Clippers is not very great either. So legacy-wise, I still think I have Kevin Durant over Kawhi Leonard, really. But it's close. It's a lot closer than people might be discussing.
Very interesting. Very,
Again, like you
very
mentioned,
interesting.
because Kawhi was a top guy on 2 different championship teams, on 2 different teams, and then won Finals MVP again in 2 different teams. I believe one of the only other players to do that is like LeBron James to do that. He did it on 3 different teams. Shout out LeBron, but Kawhi did it on 2 different teams. It's impressive, but I don't know. I guess in this generation,
Right.
2010s
No.
to 2020s, he probably might be my 4th or 5th best player of this generation, behind those big 3 I mentioned.
4th or 5th? Who's that?
Fourth or
Who's
fifth.
filling that spot? Yeah. All right. All right. Look, I've heard
I'm
you.
trying.
I hear you on this. I'm gonna keep
Mhm.
it a buck, bro. I'm gonna keep it a buck. This isn't WWE, bro. Scripts do not
Okay, bro.
matter this much. No, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm gonna keep it a buck, bro. I'm done hearing this. Scripts don't matter this much. I'm about to kindly disagree with you on this. I think a healthy Kawhi all time is, well, we don't even have to put healthy. I think Kawhi Leonard all time is better than Kevin Durant. And here's why. Yes, you mentioned 2 rings, same as Kevin Durant. Um, we can already talk about the the level of difficulty for each ring. I believe Kawhi's rings, yeah, 2019, maybe the East wasn't as strong. And yeah, they played an injured Warriors team in the 2019 finals, but Kawhi Leonard didn't necessarily have a crazy squad to play with. He was the leading scorer in
Oh, come on.
everything. No, he was a lead. He was leading all stats during
Come
that
on.
year. And they wouldn't have been in that position if he didn't hit many time in and time out clutch shots. So that ring was definitely his to, him to be in all the glory. 2014, yes, he was in a stacked, aged veteran like Spurs unit in 2014, but he was the reason they won. He was the X factor for that Spurs squad. We could definitely both agree on that. Locked up their best player, the Miami Heat, and locked up the best player on multiple occasions. Actually, I think it's very disrespectful to call Kawhi. I personally have him as a top 20 all time great. To put him over KD, definitely very close. Definitely very close. We could definitely say that KD is a better all time scorer. No doubt about that. KD is one of the best scorers in the history of NBA. But Kawhi's two-way ability, he is named the Claw for a reason, is undeniable. I think having that two-way ability and his offensive game is very underrated. We're talking about ethics on the court, all right? We're talking about the way he gets his buckets. He doesn't get his buckets from foul baiting. He gets his buckets from pure mid-range excellence. We haven't seen this type of mid-range game since Jordan, since Kobe, since players like that. So, I definitely would have Kawhi nearly, really, really close to Kawhi or to KD, or maybe even a little above KD. But yeah, that's my take on that.
Look, I mean, just to go back, I guess to close it out. To go back, don't disrespect that Toronto Raptors team. That Toronto Raptors team
I'm
was
not.
a really good team. Having Pascal Siakam, you can argue, was the best player on his own championship run of a team on the Pacers. I mean, you can say Tyrese because Tyrese hit all the big shots, but Pascal Siakam was there night in, night out, scoring 20 plus points per game, whereas Tyrese had some down games. So consistently, I think like if they won that championship, I think Pascal Siakam probably would have been the Finals MVP, and he was on that team with Kawhi. You also had Kyle Lowry, who at that time was a really good player. Kyle Lowry, in his own respect, was a good player. Fred VanVleet, the run he went on in that series was really great, and he ended up getting a huge contract with Houston afterwards. Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka, was a really talented team, and obviously they don't do it without Kawhi.
They had
And
players,
I
bro.
believe
They had players.
that was a solid squad. And
They
like I
had
said,
OG
without Kawhi, they don't
Anunoby.
win the
They had,
championship.
yeah.
It was a great squad. It was very deep as well. A lot of those players, again, went on to do their own great things with different teams. And I believe Kawhi Leonard, that year that they won the championship, was the best basketball player in the world for a time. What he was doing on the Raptors, he was the best basketball player in the world. And I don't think Kevin Durant has ever been able to say that in his career, that he was just the best basketball player in the world, where I think Kawhi had that one year where I think people were saying
One
he was the
year.
best
I don't
basketball player
think
in the
he had
world.
a couple years. I
How?
personally, okay,
No,
I'll just disagree with you on that. I think he had at least 3 years as the best basketball player in the NBA in the world. I also think that, just a quick mention, KD had Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. He had Boogie that year as well. Boogie was sleeper as well. They had depth as well in that Warrior squad. We don't have to mention, other things as well as like
well, yeah,
their
look,
coach,
I'm
Steve Kerr, all time great. Crazy pieces.
I'm not I'm not arguing. Obviously, the Warriors, 2017 Warriors, probably the best team of all time. So I'm not arguing that Kawhi had more help than KD. He did not. But that Toronto Raptors team was no slouch. They could give a lot of teams, all-time teams, a run for their money with the team they had, especially Kawhi playing at that level. But I really do only think Kawhi was the best player in the world for that season. Reason being is because something that plagued his career all time and still continues to do so. And the reason why I don't think he's above KD is just his injury history. I mean, we've seen it many times. The Clippers experiment was a failure. They went out, they got Paul George. They went out, they got James Harden. They had stints where they could have, made it further in the playoffs. But they never even made it to the Western Conference Finals. Not even once with these pretty great squads. And the reason being is Kawhi just always seemed to be stopped in the playoffs, not by his play, but mainly just because of injury. And you know what? I'm going to say it again. every single episode, I will say it, the best ability is availability, and Kawhi Leonard all time has just not been available consistently. It's almost been consistently that he is not available, honestly, which is very frustrating. And if we saw Kawhi healthy throughout all of his career, it might be a different story. He probably would be above KD, but just because of injury, I don't think I could put him above KD.
All right, man. Look, I'm personally going to have to disagree with you just because we've seen Kawhi do the same exact stuff as KD, maybe even more, with having less seasons to play with, having to deal with injuries. We've seen the injuries that he started to deal with during 2016, around that time frame, with his ankle. He was also truly a very dirty player. He was that serious. He was locking him Kevin Durant. We know this. We both know this. Locking him Kevin Durant in the Warriors. Went down with an injury, and since then he's been plagued with them. But to discredit Kawhi and his success, yeah, all right, you're not discrediting it. You're giving him his flowers, but I think to have him, basically under Kevin Durant just because of injuries is kind of absurd to say. He's done everything to Kevin Durant, what he's done, and more. With less too, with less of squads. I think the only reason Kevin Durant should even be in this conversation is just purely because of the bucket getter he is, and the longevity he has as well, which is what you're kind of hinting at. But at the end of the day, Kevin Durant only has 2 rings because of the team he was on. Kawhi Leonard has his 2 rings because he truly earned them from making clutch shots, being that player, being the it man, being him. And honestly, Kawhi, I do have you above Kevin Durant just because of that. But yeah.
All right, we can leave it on that. We can move on to NFL from there. But again, I just can't put him over him just because, and I don't think it's crazy to say, injuries have plagued his career, and that's been the story of Kawhi for the past maybe eight years at this point. So, but that's all I had to say about that. I think we can end it off on that. Unless you have anything else to say.
Yeah, just one last quick thing. You said right here, Bam to the Lakers, right? Let's run it back out. A quick little wrap back around. Bam to the Lakers, right? You said if he were to get 1 ring, maybe 2. You said if you were to get 1 ring, he'd be top 20 all time. Top 20 all time. I want to know your ranking on where Kawhi is currently right now with 2 rings. I just want to know it, all time rankings. And then Kevin Durant
That's
as
an
well.
interesting one. KD, I believe, solidified top 15 and pushing the top 12 to 10 range right now. I believe that's where Kevin Durant is. Again, I think the third best player in the generation. Where I think Kawhi, I can't give you my solidified. That could be on a future episode. Put that on the writing table for a future episode. Our top 20, 25 players in the NBA. I can't give you my solidified right now. Top 25 players, but Kawhi I put maybe in the range of 20-ish, top 20-ish to 15. And I think that's probably recency bias, again, because we're not factoring in a lot of these older head players that we always mention about.
Yeah, it's truly, yep.
So, from what I've seen, from what I know off the top of my brain, I'm just saying they're not too far apart. I have KD in that top, solidified top 15, more falling into 10 to 12, where I have Kawhi on the latter half of that, maybe 20 to 15 right now. That's where I have him. But we should do that, our top 20 players all time. That is a good one to have eventually.
Yeah.
Off the brain. What do you have him? Where do you have him to finish it out?
Yeah. So honestly, like you said, it's very hard. I need to definitely think about it a little more. But I was thinking about it myself, man. They're definitely up there. No doubt about that. They're both very good players. And I personally have Kevin Durant definitely being in that area. I'd say he definitely doesn't break top 10. Top 10 goes for, true superstars. 3+ rings, leaders of their team, something that KD truly, in my opinion, isn't. But I have Kevin Durant. I'll give him that 13th spot. Like you said, top 13, top 12, around that range. Kawhi, this is where it gets interesting. I'll bump Kawhi at about the 13th spot. Give me KD at about 14th, or we could bump it up. Maybe Kawhi at 12, KD at 13. Around that same range though. Definitely very close. Very close. Definitely just depends on how you think of it. How you think of it for sure. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one thing, again, I'm trying to wrap this up just so we can move on to NFL. We don't linger on it too much. But just one thing I remembered, Kevin Durant does have the MVP. MVP did it also on the Thunder when he was the man of his own squad. So that is an accolade. I mean, you can argue Kawhi is a playoff type of guy. He's going to show up in the playoffs, not a regular season type of guy. But, you can't dispute that KD does have the MVP, which all-time accolades-wise does get added on to that, as well as being probably, I guess, at this point, the best USA Olympic player of all time. Probably, I think he passed Melo for that this last season. I guess Team USA, if you value that. So he has that above on him as well. But they're very close. But those are some things you can possibly also throw in there in the conversation that might be able to put KD above him. He has an MVP, and when it comes to the Olympics, he's probably the best, which we kind of forgot about. But go ahead.
Just last quick one to mention. I think truly last thing. But I think it really comes down to what are we thinking about here? We're definitely adding these all-time greats, their accolades plus their skill, because I think Kawhi Leonard personally skill-wise is better than Kevin Durant. I think he is. Accolades-wise, though, KD definitely has the accolades over Kawhi Leonard. But, tying both of them together, definitely very close. We'll have to do our little list on that pretty soon, but yeah.
It's a good one. That's a good. I might write that in as we speak, but that's pretty much all we have on there. Hold up. All-time. Do 20. Someone's mentioned that already for us. But cool. Sure. All-time 20. That's in the vault for later. Keep track. But all right.
Yes,
moving on to the NFL. So we finally have some good NFL talk. Not just random plot line stories going on in the offseason. Finally, some big NFL talk. You know what? I mentioned to Roy, we kind of dropped the ball on this one, not knowing that free agency was coming up like the day that we dropped our last episode. Our bad. Our bad on that. We could have definitely done a lot more with that. But look, we know where they went now. I wish we would have done predictions so we could see if we were right or not. But look, that's in the past. We are now... Free agency has not passed, still going on. There's still players out there to be picked up, but a lot of the big signings have already happened. So I wanted to play a little game with me and Roy off the dome. I wanted to give it a little draft grades. Let's make it. There's been a lot of movement this offseason. There's been a lot of movement. So let's make it 10. Let's try to do 10. Let's see how much time it takes. Let's try to do 10 grades. 10 grades, like okay. Of signings for signings. But let's see how long it takes. We'll try not to go like over 15 for this. Just time sake wise, but let me pull them up and then we can go on it. Yeah, we have to keep it kind of brief on the talking about it, but not too crazy. So
let's get to it.
We'll start from the top. I wanted to mention it. The biggest signing in terms of money value, I was very surprised. Honestly, the top like there's like 3 in the top 5 that surprised me. I guess we're probably gonna go through probably just the top 10 in terms of size of money. Yep. Number 1, the biggest contract given out this offseason was the Panthers signing Jalen Phillips to a 4-year, $120 million deal. The Panthers, I believe, are in the right trajectory. They're in the right trajectory. They definitely, they made the playoffs. Bryce Young's been playing well, and they have made moves to help the offense. And now this is a move that they hope will move the needle on defense by getting a former first-round pick, pass rusher, to hopefully produce for them. Jalen Phillips was drafted by the Dolphins, I believe top 16, definitely top. He was a first rounder, but I believe top 16. He got traded. He played on the Eagles team. He was able to kind of resurrect his career. I believe his career has just been plagued by injuries. However, I don't know if I can justify a 4-year, $120 million price tag. So off the dome, what do you rate that off the dome, Roy? In a grade.
Off the dome, I'm gonna give that a B-. I'm gonna give that a B-, pushing a C+. Just because 2 things. I'll give it its high grade because, in my opinion, that's a high grade because that could have been much worse. It's going to give it a high grade because, yes, they're trying to give Panthers that help. They're trying to give Bryce Young and the offense that defensive help to, stay in games and not drop 30+ on them every game. But the downside, injuries, like you said, Jalen Phillips has been plagued with injuries. He tore his Achilles, I believe, on the Dolphins. He came back, was able to get traded to the Eagles. Played a couple games, probably got some good stats, good numbers. I don't know the exact numbers, but was able to get a 4-year, $120 million contract out of it. Definitely an overpay. You said the highest signing, definitely an overpay in my opinion. But when you got money to throw, it's sometimes good to throw it. But to injured players, the players who have an injury history, definitely not the smartest move. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I don't hate it either. You pretty much took the grade from my mouth. I was gonna give it a C+. Again, the same reasoning. I think I like them making the move to try to bolster the pass rush. They have the money to do so. They signed Robert Hunt to a pretty big deal last year too to bolster their O-line, and it definitely helps. Yep. So if you got money to play with, play around with it, and try to make some moves to move the culture, move the needle forward. This is a needle mover, but again, injuries play a factor. It is a slight overpay. $120 million is quite a lot of money. And then there's 5 pass rushers in the top 5 highest paid, players from this NFL free agency. And I think out of the other 2, he's probably the third best from these top 5 that got signed.
Yeah.
So again, C plus. I don't mind it. It's not a bad one. I like that they're being aggressive, pushing it forward, and trying to help out on defense. But for now, it's a gamble. You can, if he stays healthy, he's 26 years old, so you have him during his prime. Signing him during his prime, if you can stay healthy, he has a talent. He went in the first round. A lot of potential there. But as of right now, from what I've seen, his production currently up to this point and injury history, I can't give it higher than a C plus. So I'm right around where you're at right now. But all right,
and honestly,
moving on.
Yeah, go for it. I think we're going to mention it later, but we're going to mention it later, so we just keep going.
Okay, cool. So I'm just going to go down the list, honestly, because some of these are pretty big contracts. The second biggest contract was from the Colts, given to Alec Pierce, 4 years, $114 million to keep Alec Pierce on their team. What do you think of that one?
Sheesh, bro. Quite the money being spent around the league. But I think a quick grade on that, I'll give it a B+. They got their wide receiver 1. Someone was going to pay him. No. Someone was going to pay Alex Pierce. He is a top-rated receiver in the league. He is a great deep threat, very physical receiver. Next, A.J. Brown that actually loves the game, plays the game for what it is. And honestly, respect to him. He got the bag. We're going to see him ball out. Hopefully the quarterback situation in Indianapolis gets situated. But, they just tagged up, I believe, Daniel Jones, coming off a crazy injury, though. So we'll just have to see and wait and see. Someone was going to pay him, though. So I'll definitely have to give that a B+ just because, he earned it. He definitely earned it. Massive contract, though.
Yeah, again, I'm just looking at the numbers right here. $114 million for a player like Alec Pierce. That's going to reset the wide receiver market. Someone joked and said, Jason about to make like freaking $300 million at this point if they're giving Alex Pierce $114 million. It is a lot of money.
But, no.
Alec Pierce,
right. Quick little... My fault, bro. I'm going to interrupt you just real quick. We're going to say that JSN making that bag, but in my opinion, I think Alex Pierce is closer to JSN than you think, truly. I think Alex Pierce is a talented receiver, and honestly, this is not even rage bait, but we could put them in the very, very similar situations. I think if we swap them, Alex Pierce is doing similar things. Oh, boy. But yeah, that's my take on that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is high praise for Alex Pierce.
System game, man. It's a system game, man.
Look, I'm definitely going to give Alec Pierce his flowers. He's no slight. He's a tall, fast receiver with great ability to catch the ball, a deep threat. $114 million is just a little too much for my liking. And then I'm looking at the Colts cap situation. That takes them almost $5 million over the cap. So they're already over the cap space. And I think they're not done. I mean, they're close, but they have Sauce Gardner on the books. And no draft capital for the next 2-3 years, I believe. I don't like it in terms of the grand scheme of things. I'm gonna give it a C-. I really want to give it a C-. I think there's bigger needs and bigger contracts coming up for him. C-. It's too big, and like I said, pause. It's too big, and I just don't like how it took him over the salary cap whenever they don't have much draft capital early on in the first round. So that's where I have it at C-.
All right.
Any other words on that, or can we move on to the next one?
Yeah, let's get moving.
These next 2 are pass rushers, and look, I'm going to try to be as unbiased as I can. The next one, the third highest paid, was Trey Hendrickson from the Baltimore Ravens, 4 years, $112 million. So, again, we're going to try to keep it as unbiased as we can, right, Roy?
Yes.
Yes. Let's take a look at it. So we're going to talk about the Ravens and what they did in the free agency here in a little bit, all right? So looking at it as a pure signing, forgetting about Max Crosby, trade, void contract, this, that. As a pure signing, what do you think of this one?
How much did they pay him again?
$112 million for 4 years, and he is up there, 31 years old.
Yeah, so off the rip, no bias, put him all aside. I'm going to have to rate this one. I'll give it a B-. Pushing that C+ range again. Off the rip, you mentioned his age, 31. Injury history, he's played with injuries last season. The season before that, he broke the sack record, or not broke the sack record, but he was leading the league in sacks. I think this was definitely an overpay. I'm happy to see it. Happy to see it as a Steelers fan, but it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for Ravens fans because I think you're not going to get the production that you're looking for, that what you had from Trey Hendrickson 2 years ago. He had 4 sacks last year. You just paid him 112 mil. It's crazy to me. It's truly crazy to me. But they needed to do something. Like you said, it's kind of hard to put away that Max Crosby deal aside. We're going to talk about it in a second, but pretty crazy to me. And one thing I'm going to say on this, I hate that teams are paying these pass rushers big money. I truly hate seeing it. One thing I'll commend the Cowboys on is not paying Micah Parsons all that bread. To stay on the Cowboys as a pass rusher. Truly, you can get these type of players in a draft or whatnot. You do not need them. You do not need to be spending millions on millions for an edge rusher that could get injured or is just aging, because all these edge rushers that we're about to mention are all 30s, 30 plus, towards the end of their prime. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
Look, again, I'm gonna try to be as unbiased as I can. I'm gonna give the signing, I want to say B plus, but again, that's a little biased. I'm gonna give it a B flat. But edging more on B plus. Reason being, I watched a lot of Ravens games, so I do know a good amount about the Ravens. Trying to be as unbiased as possible. The Ravens, in total last year, their defense only had 30 sacks all season in total as a team, and their leading sack leader was D tackle Travis Jones with 5 sacks. Again, I watched a lot of Ravens games, and the reason the defense, the secondary is very talented. Say what you want about how washed Marlon Humphrey is, but you have Nate Wiggins out there. You have Malachi Starks is a good rookie. We had Alohi Gilman, and of course you have Kyle Hamilton, which obviously a top 2, if not the best safety in the league at this point. So very talented secondary, but they would get torched because there's just no pass rush. There was no pass rush, and I just knew playing against someone like Mahomes, playing against someone like a Rodgers even, who can dissect a defense. When you can't get pressure on someone, it doesn't matter how good your secondary is. If you gave them 5, 6 seconds in the pocket, they're going to dice you up. So just because the Ravens needed a pass rusher, and their top guy only got 5 sacks, and they have no one else. They really have no other pass rusher. Their second best pass rusher is probably Mike Green, who's a rookie, and he only had 3.5 sacks. He was not too great. So just because of how big of a need the pass rush was, I do think that a good amount of the defense is pretty set for the Ravens. They needed this pass rusher. I'm gonna give it a B.
It's crazy, man.
Not a B plus.
It's
A B. Again,
it's crazy, man.
I'm thinking about knocking it down just because of the age. But again, like you mentioned, last season he only had, I believe, 4 or 5 sacks. He only played 7 games, I believe, again because of injury. The year before that, he had 17.5, and the year before that, he also had 17.5. So go back-to-back 17 sack seasons. Do I expect that from him? No, there's no shot he gets that many sacks. Do we need 17 sacks? I don't think so. I think the Ravens need a guy who can at least break that 12 range, and I think Trey Hendrickson is exactly that. And not just sacks, at least provide some pressure. Because we had no pressure at all last season. You keep shaking your head.
Look, let me speak on this, because first off, what was your grade on Alex Pierce? It was B minus, I believe you said, or C plus. What was that? Was it C minus?
C minus.
Yeah, yes. No, ridiculous. So look, I'm gonna say this right here. I'm gonna connect this right here. Alex Pierce, right? Colts needed a wide receiver. All right, they paid him big bucks. They got their wide receiver 1 for the future. I see that. They just let go of their Michael Pittman Jr. They're restructuring their offense. I see why they paid him. All right, I see your version too. You're saying Trey Hendrickson. Okay, the Ravens needed sacks, not a crazy amount, but they needed someone to get sacks. Yes, they needed. Yes. Chill out now. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. The Colts needed a receiver. They needed their number 1 receiver for the future. Okay, I see that. Young, wide receiver, talented. Okay, paying big bucks. Ravens spend $112 million on a 31-year-old aging who cannot stay healthy for a full season nowadays. And Trey Hendrickson, it's crazy. It's truly crazy as a Ravens franchise. Yeah, they got their temporary pass rusher for the next 1 to 2 years, but we're gambling on his production. We don't know how he's going to produce. And also, Trey Hendrickson can't stop the run. Yeah, we're talking about pass rush and we're talking about, time in the pocket, but he can't stop the run. You need to be a balanced edge rusher. You need to have balance in your game. He is a joke on the run game, and Ravens are absolutely going to get demolished in the trenches and in the overall run game. Also, I just kind of want to hear your thought process on this. Exactly why this is getting a B and on an aging veteran who's injured, and why Alex Pierce gets a C minus.
Well, yeah, no, I do have some rebuttals to what you said because I thought about him. Yeah, I know Trey Hendrickson's not great against the run, but the Ravens don't need a run defender because they are already pretty good in the run. We were missing our best D tackle all last season in Justin Madubuike, and it was announced that he's coming back.
They'll get exposed.
Yeah, but we have a defensive-minded head coach, and we have one of the best run-stopping safeties with Kyle Hamilton. Roquan's definitely not in his prime anymore, but he can get downhill. And again, we're getting back Madubuike. Madubuike is one of the best D tackles in the league when healthy, top 5 to top 10 D tackles. So he's going to be coming back. So you don't need an elite run stopper. Ravens did not have a problem with the run stop last season. It was more the pass rush. It was a bit of overpay. Yes, it was a reach. Then when we talk about the health, yes, he did not stay healthy last season, but the 2 seasons before that, he played all games for the Bengals. He's coming off 2 healthy seasons, and he had 1 bad one. Again, it's a gamble. It could be an overpay. All of these are taking gambles. Anyone can get injured at any time, and Trey Hendrickson does have that history, but it was very dire. And then again, the main reason I don't like the Alex Pierce signing just because it took the Colts over their cap space when they have no first-round picks for the next 2-3 years. The Ravens still have almost $40 million in cap space. They have their draft pick, and this year is a pretty high one just because of having a pretty down year this year. And they have $40 million cap space.
Yeah, they finessed, and they got lucky. They made the right decision. They made the right decision, and we're going to talk about it next. But they definitely schemed their way into getting exactly what they wanted out of this deal. And we're going to talk about it right now. But go for it. What were you saying? Look, sorry for interrupting.
Hypothetical scheming, but all that aside, yes, the Ravens have their draft picks. The Ravens have $40 million cap space. They restructured Lamar's contract and created even more cap space. And they finally have an edge rusher who, if he gets more than 8 sacks, honestly, I'll be happy. That's the point of life I am as a Ravens fan with the pass rush right now, because we just truly have. You have no one right now. Again, our number 1 sack leader was Travis Jones with 5 sacks, bro. Like, come on. And then, veteran presence as well. We have young pass rushers. I mentioned Mike Green. We need someone there for the young guys. I don't imagine the Ravens taking any less than 2 pass rushers this next draft either, because they have quite an amount of draft capital as well. I believe 10 or 11 picks. So they're going to pick pass rushers.
Right, okay, and I hear you. They needed a pass rusher. They got one, all right? They got one, definitely. But, in my opinion, they're delaying the inevitable. I think, structuring these deals, restructuring deals, pushing all the money to the side for, a couple years down the line, signing Trey Hendrickson to $112 million for 4 years is definitely not what I had in mind. Max Crosby, even if they got Max Crosby, we're going to talk about that right now. Even if they got Max Crosby and landed that, I personally think that you're paying edge rushers this crazy amount of money when in reality it's truly not going to affect you that much. I personally think we're gonna see that this season. We're gonna see the Ravens. I'm putting all bias aside. They needed a pass rusher, like you're saying, but I think there's still holes. There's still holes to fill, and spending that much on one position, especially an edge rusher, in my opinion, is not the move.
Look, we're gonna move on from this one, but we see with the market, 3 of the top 5 guys were edge rushers that got paid. Edge rusher, whether you like it or not, is probably a top 3 most valuable position in the NFL nowadays.
Yeah,
they are.
We saw the same. Saw the same problem. We saw the same thing happen with running backs, though. Running backs are starting to get paid a crazy amount, starting to break the market a little. They're starting to ask for a lot more, and then it absolutely plummets. And I think we're going to see that with the edge rushers. We're going to see, like you said, top 5 signings were edge rushers, or top 4, whatever. Insane amount of money given out to defensive ends. I think we're going to see a little collapse on that, but yeah,
I don't believe so. Like I said, in the day of age we have with scrambling quarterbacks in the NFL, you need those athletic, fast guys that can get to the quarterback in a quick hurry. So, like I said, it's a top 3 position in the NFL, probably only behind blindside, tackle, and quarterback. And there's a reason they get paid that much because they are.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if I can put any other position besides left tackle and quarterback above edge rusher in terms of how important they are. But we can move on to another edge rusher, because the next one is also an edge rusher. We can make this one quick. I don't have a lot to say about it. It is Odafe Oweh, who is a former number 1 first round pick by the Ravens. On the Ravens, had no productivity. He never really developed, but I believe he had 7 sacks in the second half of the season with the Chargers. So, The Commanders saw that. They saw potential. He does have a lot of potential. He's very athletic. He was always a project type of player, and we saw him hit a little bit of that potential in the second half of last season, and he got paid for it. 4 years, $100 million. He got his bag. Commanders, seeing that their defense is inconsistent, went out there and paid their guy. I give it, again, I think edge rusher is a very important position. I'm going to give it a B minus just because it is a gamble on a guy who is still very raw and needs to develop. But again, he's young. Commanders needed it. I don't hate it as a signing.
Okay. I think I'm gonna have to give this rating a B plus. I think you got money to spend. Let's spend it. And also, definitely fits Dan Quinn's scheme. Dan Quinn being a defensive minded coach. I believe he's a coach, right, for the Commanders. And honestly, they definitely needed it. That Commanders team definitely lost a couple pieces on defense. I think they lost a couple cornerbacks and whatnot. But they're choosing to rebuild. In free agency, and I definitely like to see that. I'm not familiar with this game, but hope to see some great stuff happen.
He's very athletic. He's just raw. He still needs development, even at the age of 27. After that, again, a lot of Ravens were very relevant in this offseason because Ravens lost a player, the fifth highest paid player. Yeah, I guess you could say. But Tyler Linderbaum got 3 years, $81 million from the Raiders. And you know what? I'm going to start this one off. That's the one I definitely didn't want to see the Ravens let go because Tyler Linderbaum is a top 2, if not the best center in the league. He reset the center market, getting paid a lot more than the second guy, I believe by like $5 million a year. I'm going to give it an A+. I'm going to give it an A+ for the Raiders because they have their franchise coming in. You need a staple to anchor your O-line, and Tyler Linderbaum is the guy to do it. He is a dog. I have never had one complaint about Tyler Linderbaum watching him on the Ravens. So for them to go out there and get that as an A+ move, they needed it. They have the money to spend, and they spent it this offseason. Like you said, if you have the money, you might as well spend it. And they had it. They went out there. They got their guy. Tyler Linderbaum's going to be an anchor for the Raiders and Fernando Mendoza for a long time to come, and that is moving the needle in the right direction for the Raiders. A+.
Yeah, definitely a high grade is necessary for this one. I'll give this one an A-. I think, making him the highest paid center, making him one of the highest paid players in the league is definitely something to do. It's a move. It's a move to do. We're going to see how that works out. But you definitely got your center of the future. You got Ashton Genty. You got Fernando Mendoza. You got him some time. You got him some protection. So definitely, I like to see the Raiders making moves. They made a lot this offseason. So yeah, definitely an A- for me.
All right. We're going to do 2 more just because we are already reaching about the hour mark on this podcast, if not more. I did want to say this one a little bit further down the line. Ken Walker to the Chiefs on a 3-year, $43 million deal. That is one of the ones that caught my eye. I'm going to start this off by giving this one, I think I probably giving an A flat, I think. I think I'll give this one an A flat. Ken Walker I picked him up. I'm going to bring it back to fantasy football. I picked him up when he was a rookie coming out of Michigan State. I saw what he did in Michigan State with 2,000 rushing yards. I've always thought Ken Walker has more than enough ability to be a workhorse back, a 3-down back, absolutely grind it out for the next 3 years until he's only 25 right now. From 25 to 20 years old, I believe he can be one of the top 5 backs in the league on one of the best offenses in the league. And then the Chiefs, for them, everyone said they might get Jeremiah Love in the draft. They no longer have to get Jeremiah Love. They have their running back who can be a top 5 to top 10 guy in the league, and now they can address different positions in the draft, and they gave their money to their guy. They've had a lot of a lot of good running backs throughout their championship runs, serviceable ones, running back by committee, but now you have a true workhorse back to be back there with Patrick Mahomes to have a true run game. I give this one an A flat.
Okay. I'm personally going to disagree with you on that one. Heavens no.
Wow.
Heavens no. That's quite the overpay. It's quite the overpay from the Chiefs. I'm going to have to give this one a C-. I definitely do respect Ken Walker's game. K9 definitely earned his bag. No doubt about that. Super Bowl MVP. But I think I don't know what the Chiefs are doing. Mahomes, okay, yeah, he's going to probably come back. They're going to try to push it maybe late next season now, get him back. I don't think that's a move. I truly don't think that's a move. They're kind of going away from the fanfic I had. Obviously, you do get that pick. You do get that pick. You definitely do get that pick. I like that. You don't have to spend it on Jeremiah Love now, even though I have a lot of praise, obviously, around the league for Jeremiah Love. But But K9 is an overspend. It's an overpay. We have players like Rico Dowdle who produced stats that are better than his K9s, and he got paid for half the amount. So I definitely think the value was an overpay. And honestly, the Chiefs kind of pushed that one in my opinion. But yeah, C minus.
I think there's only brighter days for Kenneth Walker ahead. Again, I think he's a very underrated back. I can see him being a 5 yards per carry type of guy, especially on offense that can spread the field out and give him lanes to run. I think I can see him being like a 5 yards per carry type of running
It's
back
a
on
lot,
the
man.
Chiefs offense.
It's a lot, especially
With
when you
Andy,
don't have a.
hey,
It's a
with
lot,
Andy
especially when you don't
Reid,
have a
with
quarterback in the
Mahomes,
beginning, the first half.
yeah, but I'm thinking about this like they made this move to win Super Bowls. So I'm talking about fully healthy Chiefs team. When you got your Mahomes, when you got your receivers out there, when you got Andy
Running
Reid
backs
dialing up the
don't have
plays.
that kind of. I get that, but running backs, their longevity is not
Come on,
seen like that. We've seen that. No, we've
yeah,
seen that though. We've seen running backs get injured.
he's
Kanon has his injury history. His Super Bowl MVP that brought his sell high ability up. Seahawks let him go for fair price. Let him go. That would have been an overpay. He was asking for crazy numbers. I think that the Chiefs will be in contention, obviously, in a year's time after this next season, when they have a full squad healthy. But are you going to have a K9 fully healthy for that next season? I don't think so. That's a crazy risk. But we'll just have to wait and see. We will have to wait and see.
he, he's only 25. He's only 25 years old. He's not. He's been in the league for 4 years now. He's only 25. Again, running backs age like milk, but 25 to 28 years old. I'm not tripping over that. Paying him 14 mil a year. I think he's
Okay,
deserved
okay, okay.
deserved that tag. They always have good running backs, so I don't think they're gonna make him a workhorse, but he can be. I think he's a needle mover for that run game. But we can move on to the last one I had. Which one was it? Malik Willis. That's going to bring us into another topic we have. But we can talk about the Malik Willis one. That is, I think, the only quarterback signing like on a new team. Nope, there is a. No, I'm going to bring up two more actually. And I mentioned, you know what? Skip Malik Willis because we're going to actually talk about him here pretty soon. We can go for Kyler Murray signing with the Vikings instead. We're going to talk about Malik Willis anyways. Kyler Murray signs a 1 year deal with the Vikings. What do you rate that one?
Yeah, so Kyler Murray signing to the Vikings for 1 year. I believe this one's an A plus. This one is an A plus, and I think we're gonna
Wow.
see it. No, we're gonna see it come very soon. I truly think that Kyler Murray is a quarterback. For the Vikings, a quarterback that will stay for the long term. I think, not for long term, but stay in the NFL for a long term. For the foreseeable future, because I think he's about to show out with a nice little. I don't know the exact stats I'll put on his name, but I'll definitely give the Vikings a 10 plus win season. Um, just based off of what I'm, seeing this offseason. I think that Kyler Murray is not only a scrambling quarterback, he's an improviser. He could throw the ball at different spots, and he can make his receivers open without them even being open. He can get them open. He can get them open with his arm. And so, whenever you have a quarterback like that, when you have Jettas as your wide receiver, it's going to be a movie. It's definitely going to be a movie for the Vikings, and I love the pickup, especially for such a low amount. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to give it an A just because, again, Kyler Murray has dealt with his own injury history and inconsistency, but the talent is more than enough there. We spoke on it last episode. He is more than talented. I think he's going to a great situation where the Vikings are pretty much a quarterback away from being in contention. We saw it with Sam Darnold a year before. 9 is not the answer. I've been saying that for a long, long time, by the way. And again, you get on a very cheap contract. So, I mean, even if he ends up not panning out, you don't lose any money. I'm going to give it a B plus. Again, low risk, high reward type of signing where you don't lose anything from it. If he doesn't work out, then it's just a 1 year nothing deal. And if it does work
Right.
out, then you can possibly have a quarterback in the future. And look, like you said, they have the defense to win a Super Bowl right now. I believe that. I believe the Vikings do have the defense to win a Super Bowl right now. They have the best, if not a top three wide receiver in the league. When healthy, probably J. Jett is the number one receiver in the league. You got Jordan Addison is out there as
I think they
well.
got a top
Now you
three
had
wide receiver duo in the league. Yeah.
yeah, no, it's really great. So he's going to a great situation. It's going to depend on what Kyler Murray does himself. But again, low risk. There's like no risk that goes about it money wise. High reward if he ends up showing out. Let's just see how Kyler Murray comes back from the injury. Let's see how much passion he has for the game. It's also always been a bit of a question with him. So if he comes back passionate with a chip on his shoulder, I think it's the first time in his career he's really had a real chip on his shoulder. He's always been that number one guy, Heisman winner, number one overall pick, always had all the talent in the world, winning state championships in high school. So I don't know if he's ever had a chip on his shoulder. This is the first time he truly has one, being released by a team that drafted him number one. going on a minimum deal. So let's see if that maybe changes him around. This is a big moment for Kyler Murray's career. I'm gonna give it a B plus. I'm almost even thinking A minus, just because again, if it doesn't work out, it's not any money at all. But that's pretty much it. We kind of went longer on that one. And we still have a good amount to talk about still. So we'll wrap it up from there and we'll keep it going. So I'm gonna knock some of these off. Winners. I mean, you want to talk about your Steelers? Go ahead. I'm not gonna give too much rebuttal about it, but if you want to go talk about your Steelers, go ahead.
Yeah, no, a quick little shout out to the Pittsburgh Steelers. In my opinion, they are the free agency winners of this year, this offseason. Why, you may ask? Because Michael Pittman Jr., wide receiver one, previous wide receiver one for the Indianapolis Colts. He got his bag. Well, he didn't get his bag. He got traded, but eventually he will get his bag. He got traded for a 5th round or something like that. Mid-exchange, bag of potato chips. Very great deal on that. We got Rico Dowdle. Steelers got Rico Dowdle. Like I already said, signed him for about half of K9's contract. And while Rico Dowdle's over here producing the same, if not better, numbers than K9, they got Jamal Dean, the best cornerback in the free agency, Jaquan Brisker and Darnell Savage, which are some great depth pieces, while also having 12 picks in the draft, the most in this current draft. So definitely a win in my opinion. I know you're not going to probably agree with me, but that's my opinion.
No.
My opinion. That's why I got to say it. That's why I got to say that.
No. I'll give the Steelers their flowers here. That's actually a really great free agency. We're going to talk about the Ravens as well. Look, all roads lead back to Ravens. Steelers talk at the end of the day on this podcast. But in terms of the Steelers, yes, they did great. Pittman paired up with DK Metcalf with Mike McCarthy calling the shots. It's going to be good. Rico Dowdle. Again, it's going to be a movie. It's
going to be a movie.
He's a starting running back. Again, it depends on what Mike McCarthy comes out playing with. But for the first time in a while, I could say Steelers seem to have an upper half, team when it comes to offense. The defense always been there, but now officially they do have some weapons to scare you on offense with DK, Pittman, Rico Dowdle back there. So I will say that. And then again, on the defense side, they just, got even stronger. Jaquan Brisker is a good starting safety in my opinion. Darnell Savage being rotational out there. I mean, that's a great rotational piece to have. And Jamal Dean, that's a great one. So I have nothing bad to say about this one. The Steelers really did cook with this one. They played their money right. I think they're heading better.
Who did better?
With who?
Who did better in the free agency? Like, who was your free agency winner?
I did like the Raiders free agency a lot, just because again they had a lot of money to play with and they got a lot of guys. Again, Tyler Linderbaum for me was like an A+ pick. Along with that, they bolstered up their their front seven. Who are these other guys? Kwity Paye, I mean, that's a pretty good defender to just add. You have Quay Walker. They also added there Nakobe Dean. These are just guys that they had a horrible defense. They had a horrible defense. Now you finally have talent. Right. You have money to play around with. But again, Steelers made great moves on there. Pittman isn't a signing, more of a trade. It's a free agency move, but in terms of free agency class, I think Raiders maybe had a better one just because of how far behind they were. And now they have a lot more needle to move than the Steelers do, and they move that needle quite a bit, in my opinion, with these moves. And again, shoring up that O-line for their franchise quarterback of the future. So, but I mean, Steelers had a great one. There's no slight. I mean, besides, it was kind of hard to think of who had a better one.
It's a slight. It's a slight because I personally think that the Raiders kind of got screwed over. They got screwed over by the Ravens. Max Crosby going back. His contract is back on the books for the Raiders. They kind of got screwed over with their contracts. They're spending a little more than they wanted to now. They made all the free agency signings, and then Max Crosby got on top of that. Yes, you're getting back your star edge rusher, but who knows what's gonna happen with that. Definitely kind of shakes up their contract issues. I definitely think they do have money. They definitely do have money to spend, but for the future, speaking for the future wise, I definitely want to see them, focus more on a younger cast around Fernando Mendoza. So saving that money, at least, having to add that Max Crosby deal back on the trade, is definitely ridiculous. Definitely ridiculous. That's why I kind of have it a little under the Steelers free agency class this year. I think the Steelers definitely made a move to go to the Super Bowl this year. I'm not even being biased. They got their wide receiver one that they wanted. I think he's better than DK. In my opinion, he's a better route runner. More of a playmaker. We got Rico Dowdle. We already talked about this. Jamal Dean was the best cornerback in this free agency class. So I
You're
truly think
repeating.
that the Steelers. No, I am. The Steelers made the a push for the Super Bowl this offseason, and that's why I have them as the best free agency class, free agency
Yeah,
winners.
I'm not going to disagree with you. They, like I said, they made a move on offense for the first time in a while. They're, I don't want to say a scary offense, but definitely a formidable offense. But we have to see how it pans out, just because there's a lot of new stuff going on.
This
We
is
just have
Mike
to see how it
McCarthy's
all
best
comes together.
offense ever.
Interesting to say that. But we can leave it at that. They had a good one.
Okay.
Raiders still have 24 mil, but we're gonna merge this into something you've been wanting. You've been feeding to talk about it. The Ravens, what they did with Max Crosby. I think Ravens honestly probably are. I guess I'll start it off, and then you can pick up on it. The losers of the draft, in my opinion, probably the Ravens. My own team, the Ravens. Just because we lost a lot of players. The biggest one being Tyler Linderbaum, which I'm very disappointed to see. We had the Max Crosby ordeal. A lot of people say that we came out on top of that one, but I think I still would have rather had Max Crosby, even losing those two first rounders. We lose out on Max
Interesting.
Crosby. You lose out on Tyler Linderbaum. You lose out on Isaiah Likely and Tyler and Charlie Kohler, our tight end 2 and 3. Who, if you know the Ravens, love using the tight ends. Lamar loves his tight ends, so you lose your tight end 2 and 3. Along with that, you don't sign anyone else really. I mean, you have some of these lower tier guys. We lose Loie Gilman, Keaton Mitchell. A ton of players. The Ravens lost a lot of players this offseason, and they really only got back Trey Hendrickson again, who you mentioned is an older guy. We had a lot of holes coming in. We fixed one of them, and we probably opened up about 5 more in the process of it. So, Ravens, I can't say had a great one. They probably were the biggest free agency losers. But we had a theory. I've heard this theory floating about on what the Ravens did with the Max Crosby ordeal. So go ahead, lay it on us.
Oh yeah, so you have the Ravens being free agency losers. I partially agree with you at first. We saw the trade. Every NFL fan saw this. Max Crosby to the Ravens for 2 first rounders. Absolute absurd. Shook up the league. Very good move. Very good move from both sides. I personally think it was a crazy move by the Ravens. I personally would have them as the losers if this trade went through. But since it did not go through, you know, the GM for the Ravens kind of, pulled some strings, pulled little strings, did a little dirty. Sent Max Crosby back to the Raiders, denied it, and definitely shocked a lot of NFL teams. I doubt some teams are going to be discussing with the Ravens for trades in the near future. Definitely not. What's it called? I'm blanking here what I was about to say, but I'll just skip to my free agency losers. I personally got the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins signed Malik Willis to, I believe it was, what was the contract? Do you know the contract off of your top of the dome? Top of the dome ski?
Off top, but
I'm trying to
I can bring
remember.
it up pretty quickly. I was right on it.
It was, yeah, it was quite the money being spent for a quarterback. They're already having the cap hit on Tua Tagovailoa, who got sent. We're gonna talk about him to the Falcons.
Malik
Pretty crazy.
Malik Willis, by the way, was 3 years, 67 million and a half, with an average of 22.5 mil per year.
Yeah,
Twenty two and a
so
half mil
whenever
per
you're
year.
paying money like that, you're wanting a guaranteed quarterback who's gonna ball out for your squad. You do not know what you're gonna get with Malik Willis. You saw him ball out for 3 games with the Packers, and you pay him that kind of money. It's kind of crazy to me. I personally have them as the free agency losers because of this. They're paying Tua, who personally I think Tua is a better quarterback than Malik Willis. You can say your thoughts on that real quick, but
No, I don't think Tua is a better quarterback than anyone in the league right now. Tua just, coming in. I like Tua. I like Tua for a long time. We've seen Tua perform at a high level. I like Tua at Alabama. I like Tua about 2-3 years into his NFL career. I thought he was a good quarterback. I liked his anticipation. I liked his precision. And I liked how he was able to orchestrate the offense. At this point, Tua is not the same quarterback. He just doesn't have the same ability to read the field. He doesn't have the same ability to move the ball. He's never had an arm. So, talent wise, Tua has never been one of the more talented quarterbacks in the league. And now the thing that, really propelled him was his mind, his football brain. And unfortunately, no fault of his own, it is kind of failing him, probably from all the concussions taken over time. And at this point, again, there's a lot of things that go into playing in the NFL. And I believe his confidence is probably shot at this point from the trauma he's had, not only with concussions, but with how he's been done, how the media's handled him, how the fan bases have handled him. I think Tua just, there's nothing really left for him. I'm writing him off currently. We've seen the story many times, though. We have seen the story many times of quarterbacks being written off after having some trouble in his career and then getting revival. So, honestly, I'm not one to hate, so I really hope Tua does turn into one of those stories where he turns it around. Because, like I said, I've always liked Tua, but in terms of quarterbacks right now, he's like at the very bottom of current quarterbacks that I have wanting to play for my team. I don't think he's any good. Malik Willis is very talented, very talented. We always go back to that conversation, talent versus, other things. But he's very talented, when it comes to the run ability, his arm strength, his ability to throw on the run, improvise. But again, I thought he was a very big trap for teams this offseason. Whenever I heard the price tag, $30 million a year, there was no shot. I thought I would be more comfortable with $15 million a year gambling with that type of money. He gets somewhere in the middle with $22 million a year. Still a little too steep for my liking. And again, it really depends on the situation you're going to. Again, if you went to a Viking situation, a lot better situation than where he currently is at, I don't think he moves the needle nearly enough for the Dolphins currently to warrant the $22 million per year price tag. That's my thoughts on that trade, on that signing at least.
Yeah, honestly, I definitely agree with you. And that's why I have the Dolphins as the free agency losers. But, yeah.
No, that's all I really have. We have some more for the NFL, but honestly, a lot of it is just some goof.
Oh,
some
yeah.
goof for the NFL.
Oh, yeah, right. Actually,
we're already
wait a minute. Speaking of
okay.
Tua, matter of fact, the city of Atlanta is in absolute
You can mention
shambles.
this one.
Absolute shambles. We got after the Tua signing and the Magic City promo got canceled. The city of Atlanta is down bad. Thoughts on that?
I had to let you get that one off. Truly, City of Atlanta is down bad. Their Hawks are in the right direction, I believe, with the moves they made. But, you don't want your two quarterbacks to be the most injured quarterbacks of all time with Michael Penix and Tua. Like, your backup plan for Michael Penix is Tua. Oh my gosh. Your backup for Michael Penix is a worse version of Michael Penix currently. That's horrible.
Yeah.
Both with, like, the most injured quarterbacks. And then, on top of all that, for the fans of Atlanta, Magic City getting shut down, promo canceled. Horrible.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely horrible.
Luke Cornett. That's horrible? Yeah.
That's horrible.
City of Atlanta. Yes, Atlanteans are definitely down bad.
Look, Luke Cornett needs to experience Magic City. Luke Cornett needs to experience Magic City. I need to experience Magic City. All things said and done.
No. I think at the end of the day, Luke Cornett was kind of spitting. He had something to say. He didn't want people. I know Draymond literally was beating around the bush, saying everything but a strip club, bro. Like, bro, it's a strip club at the end of the day. It got canceled for a reason, but yeah.
Look, we're trolling, but we're trying to keep these more concise. We're probably already around the hour 30 mark, so we still have one more section in terms of sports, but I want to throw in. Well, we can talk about the World Baseball Classic first. We still have fan section, and then we can wrap it up. So, just a little shout to baseball. Baseball is about to start this week, by the way. The baseball regular season starts this week, or is it preseason? I don't know. Baseball is starting, though. So, I don't know about Roy. I'm going to try my hardest to keep track of what is going on. I think I'm going to keep track. The way I heard it, y'all going to be experiencing my journey of trying to get into MLB. The way I heard is the best way to do it, since there's so many games, is to just pick a favorite team and ride with them the whole way. So look, the way I'm going to do it, I'm going to pick two teams, all right? I'm going to pick two teams, Roy. My Astros, because I'm currently an Astros fan. I'm going to root for my Astros, and I'm going to watch them the whole way. Let's do it. Let's do it, Roy. Impromptu. Let's pick an MLB team to keep track of all season, where we're going to try to watch their games as they go along, and we're going to root for them. It can't be like the Dodgers or the Yankees, because, we know those guys are going to be like, the best teams in the league. So let me go down. I can't even. Look, I was gonna pick the Dodgers too, just because I like Shohei Ohtani. But look, that's no fun. Obviously, the Dodgers are gonna probably make the championship game again, if not deep into the playoffs. So MLB teams, let's go down. Let's pick the officially endorsed team by the Baker's Gold Podcast for this season of the MLB as we try to get along with it.
What about Pittsburgh Pirates? Start it off.
No, because look, I wanted to go for the Baltimore Orioles, and that's going to be an obvious no. So we can't do Pittsburgh or Baltimore. We're not going to agree on that.
Are no names, bro. No one talks about the Baltimore Orioles, fam.
they've been playing. They have been playing good.
Look,
They have been playing good the past
Pittsburgh
like 2 seasons.
Pirates at least got Skeens, don't they? They
Skeens.
got Paul Skeens at
Yeah,
least.
they do.
Yeah,
They do.
they got Paul
Look,
Skeens.
if you're not gonna agree with me with the Baltimore Orioles, there's no shot I'm gonna agree with you with the
But the
Pittsburgh Pirates.
Baltimore
So we
Orioles
can
are
cross
no
those two
names,
up.
though, bro.
Look, we should low key pick a no name team just so we can get the full experience of like
What
a trash fan base.
about
But look, I'm going down. Let me go down some names, all right? And we're gonna be official fans of them starting this
go
season.
for it?
Chicago White Sox.
Nah,
Chicago
nah,
team.
nah.
Cleveland Guardians.
Mm-mm.
Detroit Tigers.
Nah.
All right. Kansas City Royals.
Hell no, they're not even a team no more, bro.
Kansas City, bruh. Okay. Boston
I
Red
think I'm
Sox.
like,
How about we're Boston fans? Boston Red Sox. Start paying attention to something up north.
could
I think
we
they're actually.
could.
I think they're actually
I want
horrible.
some. Yeah, I don't know. I want
Okay.
somewhere that's gonna have like a
Okay.
fire stadium.
Okay. Hold up. I'm thinking.
Maybe
When I
Toronto
think of
Blue
that, I'm thinking
Jays.
about like
Ooh.
Blue Jays wasn't bad. Standings. I'm gonna go the standings
What
from
about
last
Blue
year.
Jays?
I'm gonna try to pick a middle of the pack type of team. All right. A middle of the pack. We're not gonna put ourselves through hell. All right. Okay.
Toronto Blue Jays.
Where were the Blue Jays last season? Truly, if you're
I
still
think they
tuned in
weren't
to the
that
pod right
bad.
now,
I actually think they
the
weren't that
Blue.
bad, and also they had a fire stadium with the needle right behind it, I believe.
Oh yeah, Blue Jays were 94 and 60. That's not a bad one, but you want to go for a Canadian team? You want to go for a Canadian team right now, Roy? Really? Come
I
on,
don't
we got to
mind
get an
it. I
American
don't
team in
mind it,
here.
man. The six, I don't mind it, man.
For the six, maybe. Okay. Blue Jays are
And they
currently the
have fire
top. Let's see.
jerseys too. Think about it.
Look, the other one I was thinking, the other one I was thinking was the Padres. The San Diego Padres would be a cool one too, I think. I like their jerseys, the brown. They got brown jerseys, brown and yellow. I like it. I think they got Fernando Tatis. That's a player I definitely know.
Yeah, it's not
Um,
bad.
and they
It's
were
not bad.
90 and 72. You know, they made the playoffs. That's a middle of the pack type of team, and they play
So
in San
San Diego,
Diego.
you
You know,
thinking?
West Coast. All right, for honestly, let's bring it down to those two teams: San Diego Padres and Toronto Blue Jays. I don't mind the Blue Jays either, but they were also pretty good. They won their division, 94 and 68. Let's see, they play the Yankees, they play the Orioles. Let's see. Below the Padres play the Dodgers. The Padres do play the Dodgers as well. I don't know, man.
Hmm.
Let's do it. Let's put on
No,
a. I don't
I
got
don't
any
know.
coins. Let's do a coin flip. Let's make a coin. Let's do a virtual coin flip for it.
We might have to do Padres. Are you gonna do coin flip? You said.
Let's do a virtual coin flip. All right.
All right, go for it.
All right.
Damn, I need
Heads is not the Raptors. Heads is the Blue Jays. Tails is the Padres. All right. Heads is the Blue Jays. Tails the Padres, and it is tails. So we are Padres fans. BG
All
Nation
right, man.
for the 2026-2027 season, or I think just 2026 season. BG is supporting the Padres. I'm also watching the Astros because that's my actual team, but we are going to try to keep track of the Padres. You know what? Let's truly try to keep track of it. We will have an MLB section every week where we talk about the Padres and the games we caught and at least try to keep track of it. That's how we're going to try to get into MLB. We're going to try to get into MLB that way.
All right. I'm gonna have to
What do you
keep
think of
up
that,
with
Roy?
the San Diego Padres now, man. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm gonna keep up with the Padres. I'm gonna keep up with the San Antonio the Missions, I believe they're called.
Good
Yeah,
lord.
man, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it this season with baseball.
All right. Fun baseball stuff coming up, all right? But we are Padres fans officially here on BG. We're going to try to keep up with them as much as we can. And I see here you had a little bit about the World Baseball Classic. That is some fun going on. Last time they had it, it was Japan versus USA, and it was an absolute banger. I caught that one. This year, it is USA versus Dominican Republic. Are you excited, Roy?
I'm excited. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna tune in, no doubt about that. Dominican Republic moving with their pieces. They have a lot of great, pieces around the team. I'm not too fluent in baseball. The team, the players they got, but some big names on the Dominican Republic side. They got a lot of emotes. They spam emotes.
Yep.
They're dancing. Yeah, they're dancing all the time. They're hitting the ball at the park. They're doing their thing. They're showing out. A lot of energy, a lot of hype. USA has their own hitters. They got Paul Skeens. They're about to go up. I don't know the exact date, We're gonna confirm that soon, but I'm definitely gonna tune into that, no doubt. Team
Tonight,
USA though.
tonight, Sunday, March 15th. They
Oh,
play tonight. So I'm gonna
that's
tune in for it
actually
as well. I should
perfect.
not have anything else going at 7 p.m. This is how we start the MLB. Well, it's not MLB, but the baseball section of the Bakersville
Yes,
podcast. We're gonna
sir.
tune into this one. We're gonna come back. We're gonna talk about it next week. Let's get some opinions on it. It's gonna be fun. World Baseball Classic is some fun, and I hope they start having it more often and it becomes bigger and bigger. But yeah, that's pretty much all we have for the real sports this week. Unless you want to add anything else before we did fan section, Roy.
That's it. That's it for me.
That's it.
Definitely hyped to see exactly. More. We got March Madness. We got NBA playoffs coming up. We got a couple more free agency things probably gonna happen June 1st. Things post June 1st. Actually, that's a while from now in NBA, NFL. But World Baseball Classic, all that. Hyped to see it, no doubt.
Look, we did indeed have a fan section this week. We didn't have it last week. Apologies for that, but not really apologies because we only had two people respond. You know what? If no one's gonna respond to it, we might have to start cutting it, gang. We really might have to start cutting it. It's really the same people. You know, I love them for it. It's truly goy slop a lot of the time nowadays. So, fan section might have to go on a hiatus for a little bit. We have to discuss it, but it is one of our favorite sections. It might be a sad one to go, but look, we have a couple people. We're obviously gonna respond to them. We got Bert and we got Tim, each with two each. So let's get it out there. All right. Bert said Dak's wife couldn't handle the Dak shots. Question mark. Thoughts?
Yeah, man. I guess she couldn't. I guess she couldn't. I don't exactly know what went down in that scenario, that situation they got going on, but I did hear that Dak, what was it? The engagement got called off or something like that between him and his wife, or what is it called, fiance?
Fiance.
And yeah, and honestly, it's pretty crazy. Definitely crazy, but this could be good for Dak. This could be good for Dak. Who knows? I know we have it
Look,
in the theory. We got a lot of game theory on this. This could be
yeah,
good for Dak. Who
I
knows?
was,
Yeah.
I was literally about to say succubus theory. This is the best thing to happen to Dak. Don't need a woman in your life. You don't need a Dak. And look, it just goes to show, guys, you can be a multi-million-dollar starting NFL quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys any other than a day. Succubus theory. If you know, you know. If you want more succubus theory, throw in a fan section. Honestly, I'm more than happy to share my wisdom on this succubus theory. But apparently she could not Harry. What is the word? Handle the Dak shots. Sorry, gang. It's pushing into 1:30 a.m. We're old
Very
gents now.
interesting.
We do not stay up anymore. We try to get these done a little earlier nowadays. We're growing slowly. And then Bert says, "Is Bam's record again? It's not a record, by the way. He didn't break any type of record. Is Bam's record better because he doesn't have? Oh my god. Okay, again, not my words. It's not a crazy word, but is Bam's record better because he doesn't have rape allegations? Again, Bert said that. Thoughts, Roy?
Yeah, yeah. So Bert, I mean, grape allegations are definitely nothing to play with. We can talk about that.
Uh-uh.
I believe Kobe. I believe she never admitted that. I think she said that it was false or something like that.
Allegedly.
Definitely, allegedly. People say there's a lot of different things. Theories about that. He paid her off. Whatever, whatever. We're not gonna talk about that. We don't gotta talk about it because guess what? Bam didn't break nothing. Bam didn't break nothing. Bam is. I know we talked about it. We threw it out there. Is Bam better than Kobe? Obviously not, though. Kobe has a legacy. He has his chips to talk about, to put on his name. So yeah, definitely a crazy take, Bert. Yeah.
But 83 versus 81 points is it better solely because of that? I'm gonna answer your question, Bert, as you asked it. I'm gonna say the answer is no. Putting all things aside, pure ball doesn't make it better, but it is better because it's more points. Just purely numbers wise, it is technically better because it's 2 points more than 81. Mr. Tim has two things to say. Who would y'all have as y'all starting center, Rudy Gobert or DeAndre Ayton? It's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah, so off the rip, I think I would have Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert is a
For sure.
multi-time depoy. He semi-serviceable on the offensive end, probably not as much as DeAndre Ayton, but he'll play his role. He'll play his role. Keep the media noise down, even though, obviously Rudy Gobert is actually a media clown. He'll keep the
He
other
is.
noise out, the bad noise, all the negative noise out of the actual, the hoops, keep it nice and mutual. So I'll give Rudy Gobert the nod on that one. Take him over DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah. I don't even got to think about that one. Give me Rudy Gobert.
He's a Hall of
Rudy
Famer,
Gobert
bro.
is
He's
definitely
a Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer is definitely interesting, but he's a multiple time depoy. He's definitely one of the more disrespected players of our generation. But some could also say maybe one of the more overrated ones for sure. He has no offensive bag. He's just a pure defensive big man in the paint, but I'm taking that over DeAndre Ayton all the time. You know, you never hear about RG's crunk juice, drink this to unleash the beast. You know, Rudy Gobert goes out there, he does his job. He does not need no crunk juice to get the job done, which he does. So give me Rudy Gobert just because DeAndre Ayton is a slob and he has no motivation to play the game of basketball or use his body. And then Tim just says, give me a shout out. Hey, shout out Tim. Shout out Tim talks about anything. I don't know the lad personally. I'm interested to meet the guy. New character unlocked. I've not met him yet. Roy, would you like to give him a shout out?
Yeah, man. Yeah, shout out Tim talks about anything. You know, we got to know our hoop sessions before. Tim is my dog. Tim's my homie. Yeah, shout out Tim.
We try to keep this one shorter. It still went about an hour 40. We're going to wrap it up, gang. We got it done. 20 episodes in. We got it.
Yes, sir.
You know, next week we should be back reunited again. Not bunk setup. You know, just goes to show, no matter where we're at, how far apart, we will get the BG podcast out every single week. We are 20 straight consecutive weeks. Truly a feat. You know, a lot of people, including me, did not think it would go this long, but 20 straight weeks. And it's fun. It's fun every single time. We appreciate all y'all that come out here. Please leave a like if you made it this far, especially. There's a lot of work that goes into it. We apologize. Apology segment, late one. Throwback right there, by the way. Apology segment for not getting any clips out last podcast. We will get some out for sure, even though they're just sprinkled in with these. But some clips will come out. But yeah, that's pretty much it. All I got for y'all. Thank you so much. Roy, anything else to say to the fans?
Shout out y'all. Shout out y'all. Keep sharing, liking, subscribing. And yeah.
That's it. All right. BG Nation will come back for number 21 next week. Big stuff. Appreciate all of y'all. Love y'all. And y'all have a good week, hopefully. See ya.
Thank you.